Hey guys, this is David from Gigi's Fabric Shop, home of Juki Junkies, and today we're going to go over how to change out your stitch plate on the DX4000, NX7, and DX3000. This is a very informative video, and I really would appreciate it if you watch the video thoroughly through and rewind over clips that you may not get before attempting this on your own. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button as we post on a regular basis. Lots of informative videos on the Juki sewing machines. Let's jump into this video and get started. So you might ask, why am I changing out my stitch plate and what's the reason behind this? Changing out your stitch plate to a straight stitch plate is nice to do when you're sewing over nice light linen materials or very thin materials that possibly could get sucked up in the jelly bean plate. All of these machines, all three of these machines, the DX4000, 3000, and NX7, come with a jelly bean plate, which is for decorative stitches, and a straight stitch plate. Also, it comes with a set of feed dogs for each individual plate. So let's go ahead and start on changing out these plates. Okay, so on every machine, the jelly bean plate will be on your machine ready to go. This is your universal plate that can do everything. However, we want to change out to a straight stitch plate because I'm going to be doing lots of thin linen fabric and just one or two layers. So I want to make sure I'm just doing straight stitch on this material, and I want to make sure I have a tiny needle hole so nothing's getting sucked up. Step one is going to be taking out your stitch plate, your straight stitch plate out of your accessory box that comes with your machine, and your set of feed dogs for the straight stitch plate. Okay, so let's go ahead and get those out, which we have out already. I'm gonna go ahead and take off this little cover that goes on the free arm of the machine, and let's go ahead and start popping this plate off. So step one to taking off the stitch plate is taking off your foot and raising your foot bar up. So now we're just gonna press this little black button, dropping that foot off, taking the foot off, putting it to the side. Alrighty, so now that I got the foot off, I'm gonna put my presser foot bar down and press needle down, needle up, making sure that needle is all the way up, and then I'm gonna raise my presser foot bar back up. Now that that's all up, we gotta make sure our feed dogs are down. On the DX4000, the feed dog switch is right here, and if it's green, that means it's indicating that the feed dogs are down. On the NX7 and DX3000, you'll have to look at the screen and make sure those feed dogs are down. So now, the next step after that, we're going to go ahead and pop off the plate. Now, we like to use a T-screw, and this is really all I would use. Maybe a flathead screwdriver would work, but I like to have no variables and use exactly what's in this video, so there's no questions later on. So now what we're gonna do is we're just going to insert this T-screw right here. So it's kind of like at that angle. You can let go of it and it'll be there. Now you're just gonna pry it open, just like you're prying a door open if you're breaking in, just like that. We're gonna break into the stitch plate. And now that we have it popped up like this, we're going to hyperextend this presser foot bar up like that with one hand. You don't have to do this, but I like to do this. And then while you're doing that, you're going to lift up the plate straight up at this angle. Remember, going straight up, not side to side, and slowly lift off like you're taking off like a plane. Now we have that plate down here. We can let down the presser foot bar, and now we have to change out the feed dogs. So changing out the feed dogs is crucial. You can't put the straight stitch plate on without changing your feed dogs out. So to do this, all I'm gonna do is I'm just going to reach underneath my feed dogs and lift up, and it's kind of hard to do. It's easy once you get it. There you go, pops up like that, and kind of watch how it comes out, because that's how it's going to go back in. So now you're going to take off like a plane again, and we're out of there. So now we have the straight stitch plate, and now we have the feed dogs for the straight stitch plate. Now you might get these feed dogs mixed up pretty easily because they do look very similar. However, it's like a puzzle. You can kind of line it up before you insert it to make sure that it fits. So these feed dogs clearly fit in the stitch plate, and it's going to work. So now I'm going to insert the feed dogs. Inserting the feed dogs, we're going to go back in kind of the way it came out. That's why I like to watch that. You're gonna go in like you're like a little ramp. The back end kind of goes in first, and it should rest like that. And then you can just kind of push down on the front, clicks into place. Very simple, very easy. Remember, stick around for the end of the video. We're gonna go over each portion of this in slow motion so you can kind of see it better with different angles. So now we're gonna get the straight stitch plate, and we're gonna go in the same way we came out. I'm gonna lift up the presser foot bar, hyperextend it, and I'm going to go in really nice and slow, and I like to make sure I'm not bumping stuff, so it's kind of a game to make sure you're not feeling like that plate's hitting a whole bunch of stuff, because there is sensors in there, and you don't want to be bumping around in different parts. So now that I have the plate sitting in the position that it came off in. Gonna wanna make sure it's very even and straight with the arm of the machine. Looks good to me. And then I'm going to slightly push down on both sides, just nice and easy, like this. Just like that. And it's a little bit of a push, so don't feel like you're gonna break it, but also feel like you wanna make sure that you're pushing directly down and not at a different angle. So make sure that you're kind of using both hands, or you can kind of just push down with your thumb on this one and kind of just support the back, making sure it's going down straight, okay? So now that we have that plate switched out, we can begin to put our foot back on. Just like that. And we can drop our feed dogs back up, and we can begin sewing straight stitch only. Your machine has sensors on this, so it'll recognize that you have your straight stitch plate on, and it will not allow you to do all of your decorative stitches, so keep that in mind. Inserting this like a pry bar, popping up, making sure you're coming straight up at an angle, making sure you're not rubbing everything in this area. One thing I want to emphasize, guys, is the sensors. The sensors are right here, as you can see right in that area. Really want to make sure you're not poking around in there and bending those things out of place or knocking them out of their spot. Now let's show how you take off these feed dogs nice and easy. As you can see, there is 2 sensors here, 1, 2. If you're missing one of those, your machine will not be sensing what plates you have on, and you'll know that that's the issue. Contact your local dealer that you purchased it from, or us if you purchased it from us, and we'll help you fix that issue. Now, let's emphasize how to take out this feed dog. Okay, so taking out the feed dog. Watch the angle of approach that this comes out, so you know the angle of approach to put it back in. It's kind of coming in like a ramp. There's these little tiny bars on the back of this that kind of go into this little groove right here. So we're gonna go in kind of at this angle again. See how it goes like this? And then it clicks into place, where that little bar clicks into that little clip, okay? So let's just show that nice and smoothly. Up, out, in, down. Alrighty guys, so we have the decorative or the jelly bean feed dogs. I'm gonna show you how these don't work with this. See how they're just not sliding in that groove? So now watch. Let's put it on the jelly bean plate and show you how it works with this one. Well, actually it goes this way. See how you can get them to pop through? It's like a little puzzle. Making sure those line up is crucial. So now let's go ahead and insert this plate. Inserting the plate is kind of like inserting the feed dog. There's these 2 little teeth, and it kind of goes in at an angle like you're making a ramp. Making sure those 2 teeth are going underneath this white plate right here. So remember, see how I'm going in? Just underneath like that. And making sure this plate's nice and flush with this. And then also making sure it's not one way or the other too much. Now when we're putting the plate down, what I like to do is kind of just straighten it up and push down on this front edge right here. And push down on this back edge at the same time. Bam. That audible click, you know it's in place. You'll also see that this little metal bar is sticking up through this hole, or kind of recessed in the hole, I guess you could say. How you know this plate is installed properly is everything's nice and flush. There's no lips poking up. If it's poking up like that, you know that it's not lined up properly. You might want to take it off and retry the steps. Obviously, or not obviously, but you can see that there's this little tiny metal bar that sticks up through this hole. Just slightly, it's recessed so you can't feel it. That little bar, if you see that, that's good. That means it's lined up perfectly and you're good to go. You'll know that it's not installed properly if you don't see that little metal piece in this hole, because the back end will be lifted up and you won't see that metal piece, which means it's not on properly. So make sure you take it off immediately and reinstall it properly. Alrighty guys, I want to emphasize these 2 little metal prongs on the bottom of your stitch plate. These 2 prongs are what's going to be on each side of that stitch, on that sensor on your machine that I was showing you inside. And if these are out of whack or not at these angles or don't look similar to this one, then it's probably because you bent these out of place from not being gentle enough or not lining it up properly when installing the stitch plate, and you're going to need to purchase a new stitch plate. But before you purchase a new stitch plate, make sure that your sensors are not messed up, because you might need to replace those too while you're at it. So make sure you contact your authorized Juki dealer if you notice that you have any issues with these prongs or your sensor's not working. And there you go. Alrighty guys, I also want to emphasize strongly that being gentle when doing these steps is very, very important. Obviously, you do have to apply some pressure when installing the plate and removing the plate. However, make sure you're doing it in a gentle manner where you kind of know if you're going to start bending things out of place. Another thing to keep in mind when storing these plates, don't just throw them in a drawer, because you can bend these things out of place by doing that. You're going to want to store them in the accessory kit that comes with your machine, where it has nice styrofoam and just foam material that you want to set it on, because you don't want these things to get bent out of place, especially if it's just getting bent out of place by not even installing the plate. So make sure that you're doing that, or storing it flat on its top like that. It's a nice way to do it. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys hit the subscribe button down below as we post videos on a regular basis. Like this video, comment down below if this was helpful for you or anything you'd like to see in a future video on these machines. And thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great day. Also, one more thing, join our Facebook group with over 20,000 members, tons of information and resources on that Facebook group going over Juki machines. And thank you so much. Don't forget one other thing, JukiJunkies.com to get all these plates and accessories for these machines if you need them or if you break them. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great day.